Welcome everybody to Two Facet Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about building digital products and working in product teams. I am Juncal Gonzalez, I'm a product designer, and I'm here with
Matt, the product manager. Welcome, hi. Been a while.
Yes, it's been a while. After winter holidays and a small break, we're now in season 2.
Yeah, we decided to, it's a new year, new us, so we decided to call it season 2. So there's gonna be probably some changes coming to the podcast.
Some new things.
Only good ones, it's like...
Only good ones, yes. And yeah, lately we've been talking about Lean. We're going to talk more about Lean today.
Yeah.
So maybe as well we will do some Lean stuff and ask you about what you like about the podcast.
Yeah, you can expect from us asking some Lean stuff and some experiments coming soon. We will spoil more about it in coming days, hopefully.
Exactly. Yeah, so today we are talking about Lean Startup.
Yes, today we will talk about it.
Why? Okay, so, well, when building digital products, we're used to work in short sprints. We work with MVPs, we iterate a lot. And why do we work like this? Because sometimes we can feel, or at least when you're more like entry level, like I want to improve this a little more. Why don't we do extra thing here and that? And everything is MVP and everything is fast.
And a lot of times you will have this feeling of like, why we are not spending time to perfect this feature or this part to make it really perfect.
It could be amazing if we would only spend 3 more weeks or one more month.
Let's not ship it yet. We can make it much better. So, and the question is, from where does it come from?
Exactly. Why do we work like that?
Yeah. For sure, there is a lot of different influences. So, there are a lot of different thinkers in the market and in the industry. So there are different ways you may get influenced about it. But today we want to talk about a very specific one, which is called Lean Startup. It's actually methodology, started as a book from Eric Ries. Basically the story was that Eric was trying to run his own startup called Catalyst Recruitment, and they failed. And this happens a lot. Like,
we learn from failures, right?
Majority of mine that. So he failed, and then he blamed mainly spending too much time on the initial product launch, so trying to make it too perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, he worked in another company. They're incorporated as a senior software engineer, and that company also failed, like expensive product launch. Yeah. And then similar reasons. So he made a point that we should, instead of working forwards the technology, hey, I see I can do it, let's do it. We should more work backwards from what business achievement we want to do, and then working backwards to the technology solutions and everything else.
So he was an engineer, so at first he was like thinking on the engineering solution, right? The development solution before.
In the second company, and in the startup, the founder, but again, with this feeling of like, I need to show perfect product to my customers, or I know exactly what I want to solve. Let's solve it and everybody gonna be amazed. Here is another quote when coming about making perfect things. Another quote, this is from LinkedIn founders. It's like whenever you ship something and you're proud of the result, you probably shipped it too late.
Okay. Like the first time you should be at least slightly ashamed of it.
Yeah, because beautiful designs does not make a job anymore. I mean, it's not the times that you're gonna be unique. Everything should be nice nowadays. So the fact that you're gonna have more, not always gonna mean you're gonna be successful.
Exactly. Also as well, because startups are a specific kind of business in a way, right?
Yeah.
They are business that they don't have a business model.
Yes.
Like they haven't proved they can really make money yet in a way.
True.
Let's say.
True. So there is no validated business model yet, and basically, the goal of a startup is to figure out what to build, like the right things to build to find this business model, right? So what products can I deliver to my customers that solve real problems that I can package, and they will continue buying it in a sustainable way for my business. And startup is a stage of the life of a business, I would say, of like, hey, we have some ideas, we want to build solutions for them, and is there a way we can build them that gonna build this sustainable business model that's repeatable, and you can package it and sell it as a product.
And here is when the customer or the user gets really important, right? Because the first reason for a startup failure is not solving a user's problem, not solving anyone's problem, right? Like no one wanted that.
Solving wrong problems a lot of times, and this comes a lot of times from sitting, somewhere in a legendary garage and trying to build stuff, and for example, not understanding some of the people. So a lot of times you will hear these two quotes. So one gonna be from Ford saying, if I ask people what they want, they will say faster horses. And then Steve Jobs had this one about that the customers doesn't know what they want until you show them to this, show it to them. But at the same time, both of those guys heavily were doing things like discovery research. It's just different ways, but they were still like, iPhone wasn't a invented thing. It was put together and sold super well because Steve Jobs and Apple understood the common problems.
Exactly.
And there were things like, one of the hits of iPhone was the fucking visual voicemail. And people brains exploded because, now I have my messages, I can listen to whatever I want. And before that, you needed to call a special number, your own, listen each message in a row, and then you would know who's calling you. I know this sounds obscure to some of you. I know. No worries, I'm old. But this was like mind-blowing for people because, now I can manage this, because they really nailed where's the problem right now with the phone. Then later apps came and other things, but they really understood. Apple is not super open about how they run stuff, so we don't know if this was focus groups or whatever else. But it didn't not come from air. You can see that they really understood the problem they want to solve.
Exactly. And
then made a bet to solve it, and blah, 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 everything happened. So it's not that you sit down in a garage and you're gonna find it. A lot of times you're just gonna, spend time and energy on building stuff.
Yeah, and these two examples, these are really good examples. And it's not exactly like, okay, people, they don't know what they want, so let's not listen to them because they don't know. It's like try to listen to them in a different way, like with experiments like we are going to do now, to try to figure it out.
Yeah. And there is also this part that we lie a lot to each other.
Well, we have a perception of ourselves that maybe it's not real. Like everybody thinks that they drive better than they actually do, kind of thing. No, so if I ask you, "Are you a good driver?" you would say, "Yes, absolutely."
Yeah. So a lot of times, if you would, we will get into that. But if you ask directly, you will get intention from the person, not real behavior. So it's not that easy to maneuver around this startup world and life.
Like, do you go very often to the gym? Yes, 3 times a week. Maybe that's your intention, and at the end is 1.5 kind of thing.
Yeah. So having in mind all of these problems and startups failing because wrong problems, and I already mentioned some weird thing called discovery research. What is this lean startup, and why do we want to talk about it in this case? So
it's a scientific approach, isn't it?
Yes.
To building products. So like in science, we want to set hypotheses and do experiments kind of thing. Yeah.
So some time ago, 70, 80, something like this years ago, science community came to the conclusions, hey, we need some scientific method. So the fact that you will give, so in the 70s there was an experiment that they gave to the elephant like really a lot of LSD.
Okay.
And the result was that the elephant died.
Okay.
So coming from that, we know, or they said, okay, LSD can kill you, but it's not really scientifically proven. It's like you gave really a lot because it went into kilos, so it's not imaginable like amount, and you gave it to the elephant. So what did you expect? Like, I mean, it's not really like super. When we think about it scientifically now, you wouldn't say it's like an experiment repeatable that you would say, yeah, this is the rule.
Okay.
So then we humans, scientific community, which I'm not part of, created a scientific method which assumes that you have experiments are repeatable, so any other scientist can through experimentation come to the same conclusions that you did. You try to have as clean environment as possible, so you don't have any external factors changing your experiment results. What's your success, what's your failure, and towards which goal you're going, and there's much more other things that are protecting us from calling something science and some just witchcrafting. And Lean Startup tries to do the same. So they are borrowing experiments methods, so things like hypothesis, building right environments and things like this, and then trying to learn from them. And there is this thing called build, measure, learn cycle, or a loop that's mainly used in a Lean Startup. We'll go into each of the parts of the loop there. And then Lean Startup also provides, so the whole thing was built more for founders and running a business, right? So the whole pitch is working backwards from the business achievement you want to see towards like solution, technology, and everything else.
Yeah, coming back to the beginning, I have a business, but I don't have a business model yet. Yeah. So how can I actually make money? I would
even say you have an idea for a business and then what to do next. And a lot of people will start, if it's digital industry, you will start building your application with 25 million flows for God knows why. Starting from getting back to Lean Startup, there is the tool called Lean Canvas. We'll do another episode about it. It's a really nice tool, but the general idea about it is that you try to map your current business and then think of ideas where you want to move the business to. And then the build, measure, learn loop helps you get there, basically.
So I map the present and I map the future, but I don't map the full path in between. No. I then try to doing experiments to see which path can I take to get to that future.
And even better, you time bound it. So this is called Lean Sprint. So basically you map this future you want to say, and you say, okay, I give myself 2 weeks, month, 3 months, whatever works for your life to get there. And then through that time, you try to experiment, run some different hypotheses, different types of tests to see if you can achieve this result or get into that. And as nowadays we should know in product teams, while you go, you learn a lot. So then you can start working on your strategy. Maybe it's going to change. So after the sprint, so time bounding this gives you like a hard time in time, saying like, okay, I need to stop now, rethink and see. And you redo it again. So you again map whatever is your Lean Canvas right now. You can do retro on like, hey, did I achieve what I wanted? If not, what, why? And then you can move forward. So you map it again and you run another sprint using the techniques from the loop itself. So it's super similar to what you do or should in product teams nowadays, no?
Yes, exactly. Now it makes more sense why we do like small things, iteratively experiments.
Because a lot of times teams gonna be like autonomous startups within the startup. So a lot of companies in the industry work in cross-functional teams, and I hope you're given more outcomes. So you need to work on a goal and then produce outcomes towards that goal. So the mindset is super similar. You have a goal, you should have some ideas about how to move the goal, and then different ways of delivering it to the market. So what does the Lean Startup tells us about delivery is the build, leisure, learn loop again. So maybe let's go into it.
Yeah. So one thing that we've discussed sometimes is that build, measure, learn makes sense, but you build based on what?
Yeah.
So you always maybe need to learn at least something, some basics, no? Yeah. What you build comes from an ideas that you learned somewhere.
Yeah, so it's a problem with the loops. You never know where to start.
Where does it start, right?
Industry-wise, everybody says build, measure, learn. I really love to say learn, build, measure. So I start one step. In a book, Eric mentions the same things. So he claims that you need to start with interviews. If you have a business idea, you start with interviews and discovery research.
Yeah. You want to really learn who is the
customer,
and then the problems.
And then you can, put their different labels. So you can go back to another episode we had about different stages of your product. And it's like if you're in problem discovery, you don't know what problems are worth solving, or maybe you have an idea about problems. So then you need to size it, check if this problem exists, and things like this. So he proposes anything you do with the business, you start from learning. So this is also super aligned with my brain, so I keep biasing everybody that this is actually learn, build, measure, and not build, measure, learn. So you start from learning. So as I said, you probably do some interviews, you do discovery research for sure.
Anything that can help you understand which are the problems.
Yeah.
that are worth solving from the customer.
From your perspective, or validating if your ideas for a business or your ideas for a problem are actually existing.
If they are valuable for anyone,
Yeah.
if they are solving anyone's problem.
Yeah, and even in like product work later, you can come to moments like with it sometimes. It's like you see pattern that, hey, this problem, nice one, let's solve it, and then you solve it and nothing happens. So it's like
this
really
happens,
worth
yes.
doing this deeply and understanding why. And actually, Eric Ries proposes something called 5 whys.
Yes.
In the book, to get into the core of a problem. Each time you see something from the customer interview or your research, try with 5 whys. We can do another episode there. So it's basically asking 5 times why in a pretty way to get into the core of a problem. So then you actually understand why you want it. So an example can be a lot of softwares have an option to send automatic birthday message.
Yes.
And when you ask the customer and you have communication tool, they will say, I need birthday message because you sent the birthday messages. If you dig deeper, a lot of them gonna say, because this shows that. So why? Because this shows that I care about the customer. Okay, but why do you want to care? Because we need to build relationship. Okay, so you want to build relationship with your customers, not really wish them happy birthday.
Exactly,
So the core of an issue is somewhere else than initially you could go and build like birthday sending machine.
And this is exactly what you explained at the beginning, that customers, they don't know what they want. I mean, they know it, but super deeply. So you need to get into it to really
because they show
it.
intention, not behavior. And
Exactly.
That's the difference. So that's a first thing you start with.
Learning, first step. Yeah.
First you learn, and then once you learned, we really don't want to build like a lot of stuff.
Exactly. Maybe you learn and your first idea would be like, okay, I have this idea for this amazing product. Is going to take
you will always have like
yes.
25 screens, or at least I have like, I know how this application is gonna work. And
like
it's
the full flow with the full
Yeah.
functionality and all the extras, and it's gonna take us like six months at least to build.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that would be not exactly lean.
Not agile, not lean. So here the idea is more to, once you know stuff, you may start making assumptions.
Yes, because like if you have this idea for that product, this idea is full of assumptions.
Yeah.
Like the person wants it, the person has a device to use it, the person has money and intention to pay for it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's proposed there is to actually break all of this into hypotheses. So one of your hypotheses is like, customers will pay 100 euros for my product and I will have at least 100 of them, let's say. In order to move forward with your business. So you're at 0, let's say your next milestone is like, I need 100 customers paying 100 euros a month, and then my MRR gonna be this and that. So this is your hypothesis that they will pay for it, and you want at least this number of the customers within time frame, and then you can launch an experiment around it.
Exactly.
So we built a lot of those hypotheses. They may be more product related, more business related, usually behavioral. And then you can build MVPs, you can build smoke tests, A/B tests, depending on the context you're living in and product you're running. So if it's a company or operations project, so different stuff may appear there.
So when we say build, we're always building experiments.
Yes. Or you should be thinking about it as experiments, because then it's also not attaching you. So if you think about it as a product feature project, you will attach to it. So there is an attachment of like, I'm building that because I believe, or I am sometimes sure that this is the thing to build.
Exactly.
But this is totally untrue. It's all experiments. So it's more setting up like, there are equal chances for us to just drop it the day after we ship it. Because it's not here for us to deliver the value, it's for us to learn if this validates the hypothesis.
Exactly.
We are here science.
To keep being in the loop. So I'm building to again.
Learn more and then let's see, okay, maybe, let's go to building. That's it. So you learn first and then you set the hypothesis, so you move to building and you want to reduce waste. The idea comes from lean manufacturing from Ford. So it's like producing in time and having right amount of parts and not producing a lot of waste during the production. So the problem originally was, to build cars, you would need to have big warehouses, even bigger than nowadays, and keep all of the parts just in case. Ford invented some better way of doing that, more lean and producing less waste and like producing lines and all of this stuff. So you just have enough parts to build whatever you need to build right now, depending on the use of your factory. The same here. So we can sit down and build a project for 6 months, let's say, like a perfect feature. Sometimes you're gonna need to, but let's say it's not the best timeline you can imagine. So instead of spending the 6 months, maybe there are ways to build smaller parts. And if we fail in 2 months, not in 6 months from now.
Exactly.
So it's like taking the most risky things and trying to do them more cheaply. Does not mean we should all be producing shitty features. It's just the validation. So is it the right thing to build? And then it should be good. It should have features. It's not about cutting time and saying to people, hey, ship only half of it. We are still producing value, but towards a super well-defined goal. So, yes.
No, it makes total sense what you're saying, yeah. Because you want to move fast. That's it.
Yeah, and waste nowadays comes from working the wrong things. So if you work on the wrong thing, you're producing the waste. So faster you can verify if it's the right or wrong thing, better for you, you're gonna spend less time on the wrong stuff. Yeah. And then how to know if it's wrong or right. So then
Exactly. So I launch my experiment, people are using it, and then what do I do next? Because I'm delivering just a small amount of value. So I just want to prove if this is the right direction. And how do I make the decision if I move forward on that direction, or if I shift, or if I
this comes from the experiment. So as we were talking, you said the hypothesis, and it needs to contain a few things. So first thing is to show what result you want to see in reality after, like what behavior you want to see. So my customer is gonna be buying my product is the easiest one.
I like this because it's customer behavior is a good one, more than like an outcome that it's I don't know, cold or business oriented like my outcome is to raise the sales by, well, it can be as well, but you have to have the user there considering
different approaches can be there. It's always about, but it should be measurable outcome. So if you say it should be better, it's shitty. So let's take this customer. So my customer is gonna be buying my product, fine. But it's one customer, fine. It's 10 nice. Maybe you need 1,000. So how much is nice? This is common problem. Sometimes you launch like an experiment somewhere, and the team comes back and says like, we have 300 people doing it. And the first question is, and what does it mean?
Is it too much?
Is it good? Bad? Like, is it beta? And 300 is like 90% of your customers. Maybe you should not be launching this to 300. Like, what does it mean in your reality?
So how do I consider that the experiment was successful?
Exactly.
Right? To keep moving on that direction, or
So the hypothesis should contain the target audience, the behavior you want to see, the success metric. So let's say I want them to pay 100 euros, and the failure metric. And I would say, and I need at least 100 of them. So then I know if I have less than 100, this is failing. So maybe they're paying, but I have 50 of them. It's like, fine, we got 50 customers. We can learn about how we got them. But still, the signal for you when learning from it is that, hey, I didn't deliver what I needed from my lean startup or whatever, lean canvas. And next experiments should be pulling from this experiment of like what not to do, probably. So you tried already something and it didn't work. And then you can think about, do I want to push this line, or maybe different hypotheses will come out of the experiment you did. So measuring is important, and the hypothesis when you start should be built in a way that will guide you at the end to tell you if you're nice or bad. So if the results are you're successful or you're failing, and it should not be the gut feeling at the moment, because so if you don't set the results and you're gonna try to do this math in your brain at the end, you're gonna justify a lot.
Yeah.
You're gonna lie to yourself.
You want
again.
to prove to yourself that it was successful,
Exactly.
so you would say, okay, then these 300, I think they are enough.
Yeah,
but
it's a lot, no? It's fit 300 people in this room. It's like a lot of people.
Look, it's a lot.
You can make arguments for it, and you can try to fight for it and things like this. But it's much better if you write something at the beginning, you spend the time, and now you're lying only to yourself. So you're okay.
Yes.
I said to myself 100 is a nice number. I have half of it. Okay, you can now make arguments, but I hope you're not gonna make them, and you're gonna more think, okay, I want it, I didn't get it. What can I do now instead of getting into the building trap? This is the problem usually. It's like, if you're not having the success metric, you're gonna end and you're gonna start building argumentation for why did you failed, and I need this one thing added, and then it's gonna be amazing.
Yes.
And then you're in a building trap. You just keep patching until you reach something, but it's probably not worth it, and you're gonna spend a lot of time there.
Like, look, we have 300. If we only add this one more thing, we will get to the 500, whatever. Yeah. And can it happen? So when you have the outcomes, when you're measuring it, can it happen that you say, I think the success metrics I set at the beginning was too high? Like,
you may learn that, for example, you tried and you believed the market is huge and things like this, and maybe you hit the market and you see, I'm in a super small niche. And it's okay if you didn't spend like a year getting to this moment.
Okay.
And this is being ashamed about, if you are proud about what you shipped, you're too slow and things like this. It's like, earlier you get to this conclusion, better for you.
The better for you, yeah.
So instead of building an application, maybe you would build like a fake landing page and try to drive some traffic to it and see how much cost is there, and are you able to reach the audience. You may find out, I am bad cost and I need money or things like this. But I would totally be always trying to understand if the problem is worth solving and big enough, because this can happen. You're not gonna have the same is with the interviews and the discovery research and research in general. You should not be micro-maxing.
Yes, I see what you mean, because we use like scientific methods, but we are not scientists. I mean, we're not trying to develop a vaccine or anything.
Or truths about words. So sometimes we do, and you need a lot of time spent there, but it's like, you try to go to statistics. It's like, if I talk to all of the doctors on the planet, much better for Doc Planner. I mean, yes, this would be perfect scenario. We would talk to every doctor, we would understand every need, and we would rock it. Fine, but if we reach 10 doctors and we fail with all 10 of them, I would heavily be rethinking what the fuck are we doing here. If 10 of them are fine, still does not mean all of the doctors are going to be happy. You need to learn more, but you can move forward from those 10 to maybe later you will be able to reach more, and all of this stuff will happen.
Also, as you said, like, we're not looking for truths, because in the end we're just looking for to solve human problems. And there are a lot of things to solve the same problem. They're not like right or wrong. Like, it's not like I will need to keep learning until I find the right way or the perfect. There can be multiple. It's not like
gravity usually.
Okay.
Which tells us, solutions are not that important in all of this, but this is another episode.
To focus on the problem.
So, just to quickly sum up the measure part, because we had a nice discussion here, but it's basically the customers will not tell you what they want. They will reveal it through actions or not doing actions. So it's much better to define those actions before. So part of your hypothesis you want to see in an action or behavior in the target group, and then you need to measure how. Good designs usually changes the behaviors, so you should be able to influence the behavior. So if you see the behavior, you can set the hypothesis that's gonna change it. It's important to be aware of it and have a way to measure this change. And you should be focused much more on the output you want to see, or the metric, not the outcome or the metric, and not on the output. So you not should have the hypothesis like, we will ship feature X in 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Because nobody cares. Or I will have 20 users in my feature B. find why they're there, what's the behavior they're doing through your solution. So you should be more focused on the, again, working backwards from your business goal towards the technology and solutions, and not from technology, because a lot of times you may have, this is jumping back to learn, but it's like I'm a bit engineerish in my brain. You're a designer that designs few products in your life, so correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times when I hear idea, I already know how to build a startup.
Like, your mind goes straight away
to, okay, this is the application, those are the interactions, done.
Exactly. How will I do the interaction, blah, blah, like this, and it works very fast.
But this comes from technology. I mean, we know multiple solutions, so we are able to put together solution for something, but still does not mean it's worth solving and that this is the good solution. So
exactly,
we should be constantly verifying
more,
ourselves.
On the problem. Yeah, as you said, for another full episode.
On a problem, not solutions. Solutions important, but not always. So this is, and then once you measure, you're back in a loop, right? You have your numbers, you see what behaviors are there, what are not, and you can come back to the hypothesis and then try to learn and understand, okay, so why did I success? Because if you're successful, does not mean, okay, hey, success, let's scale. It means like, why does it work? Like now let's
what did I
understand.
learn from it so I can make decision to follow this direction?
And there are examples like you're gonna learn some behavior and then maybe you can add more features because it's like, oh, okay, they are doing this, so let's now make it a bit more smooth or add more complications to the flow, more features. But there may be also things like I lost it. So customers behaviors. Okay.
Was it an example?
It was an example, but
okay.
I just lost it. So let's move forward. So you're back in a loop. You will learn stuff, and it's super important to understand what did you learn from. I know what I wanted to say. So it's like if you're successful, maybe it's worth talking to your most successful customers, and you will find out why they like it, and then you will improve your sales pitch from product.
Yes.
So you may find new value propositions, for example, from the success or the failure. Also can pivot you and say, hey, those two didn't work. Maybe let's try the third one, or any other ideas we have. So
both are important, and it's never like we're done. Okay, that's it. It's like you never finish building the product, right?
Oh no. This is
infinite loop.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, there's so much things you can do. You can build them infinitely, and this is the thing about the problems. Solutions is one problem can have multiple solutions, so it's infinite of what you can build. So then discussing what you will build is the least interesting, but I'm idealist in my life. So and back in a loop, you learn, you build again, you measure, and you roll like this whole life. So this is what the Lean Startup proposes. I hope this sounds similar to how you work
hopefully, yes.
Product teams with setting goals, working on outcomes, and then trying to validate them. It's one of the methods, as we mentioned at the beginning. There are different ones to make it a continuous process. But really recommend it. Read the book if you didn't. We also recommend it.
Really good. Yes.
So
that's it, no?
I think that's it. One more thing I would just mention is, again, build backwards from the business goal towards the solution.
Yes.
Not the other way around. So let's not think solutions first to deliver the business goals. And then the other thing is, we do mention, and the same is with the book, they mention it more for the founders or business owners, but the mindset is the same. So if you
when you're in a team,
exactly.
Yes, you can consider a team to be a startup.
Yeah.
When you are lucky enough to have an autonomous team with a different type of profiles inside the team can be considered a startup. So even though there's a bigger outcome in the business, the team can get assigned a smaller one related to the other one, and then you can do the full process inside the team.
Yeah.
And this is why we work with MVPs, and we have the sprints, and
sometimes you do things like smoke tests. Some people may heard A/B testing, things like this. There are, again, as you say, you have experiments and testing the hypothesis.
Yeah.
So yeah, please, if you liked it, let us some feedback. That's always nice.
Thumbs up, comments, share it with someone if you think someone might benefit from it or learn something. Yes.
Like always. And then thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed this first episode of the second season.
Yes,
and see you around on the next episode.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.